Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been to Jim Crowley Outdoors before, I'll tell you just a little bit about it. One, this is home to a lot of my episodes of both my shows, which is Jim Crowley Outdoors and Slick Fish Radio, both on Wired to Fish TV, as well as a home for a lot of lure building and rod building. And today I'm going to be building one of, without question, one of the most successful lures in probably bass fishing history, and that is a bladed jig. Other people refer to it as a vibrating jig or a chatterbait. I just call it a bladed jig. Now everything that I use, all my components, everything for all my lure making is easily found at Lure Parts Online. And make sure you stay tuned today because I'm going to give you all the part numbers of exactly what I use to build a bait. I will do that all the time for you. That way you can go and look, and if you decide that this is something you want to go into, you'll at least have a head start. So with that being said, realize that a bladed jig is only 5 components. That's it. That's as simple as it is to make a bladed jig. You have the split ring, you have the lock snap, you have the blade itself, you have the jig head, and you have the skirt. Those 5 components make up a bladed jig. Now the cool thing about building versus buying is that you can buy in bulk. So on average, you can build 3 lures for the price of one store-bought one, and you can make it any way, any size you want. You're not limited by what the store has. So the bladed jig we're going to be making today is actually a bluegill colored one. This is a one that I choose in the spring a lot, or when I'm fishing north like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and I've got clear water. Those fish are going to be focused more on bluegills, where in other lakes or other reservoirs they may be fishing, focused more on shad. So today we're just going to build a bladed jig that is supposed to represent a bluegill, and here's how we do it. Building bladed jigs is really pretty simple, and all you really need is a couple different tools, and these are also available at Lure Parts Online. Now this is a round nose, long nose pliers right here, and this just allows me to grab the little snap lock and a little split ring a lot easier. So, and a regular small long nose pliers will work. I just like this one a little bit easier because it can really get into the small part of the snap lock. Also split ring pliers, which are very inexpensive and very easy to use. I always have one here where I build stuff, and I also have one in my boat at all times in case I have to replace any split rings when I'm out on the water. Now I'm going to show you a cool little tool here. This pliers here from Cast King also has a little notch in it that can also be used as a split ring pliers, and so any type of pliers like that or split ring pliers, that's all you need. That's as in-depth as you have to get with it. Now let's build it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the split ring because we want to put that on the blade. So I'm just going to take the split ring pliers right there, open that up, and then I'm going to put it on the blade. Now once I start that going on there, then I'm going to take my pliers and I am just going to turn this around and I'm going to keep it going. There you go. Nice and simple, just like that, and the split ring is on there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little snap lock right here, and that's again where these small long nose pliers are going to come in handy. So then I'm going to take that and I'm going to open it up like so, and I'm going to bend it up a little bit more. Now the blade I'm using here is a bent blade, okay, and I'm going to explain more of why I'm using certain components after we're done building it. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on the outside of the blade. I want the bent part of the blade facing in toward the lure, okay. So then the next notch up, I am going to take the snap lock and put it through. I'm going to hold it in place there with my thumb. Again, I'm going to take those small long nose pliers and just pop it through. After it's popped through, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to again grab it with the pliers and lock it in, and my blade assembly is that quickly and that's simply built. Now using the split ring pliers again, I am now going to connect the blade to the jig head. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the blade around until I find the opening, and then I'm going to open it with the split ring pliers, and now I want to make sure that the blade is facing toward the inside of the lure, that bend is, okay, and that's how I'm going to hook it on the head. So all I did is open it like that. Then all I have to do now is slide the split ring around like so. Now it's connected. All right, so now we're ready to slide the skirt up, or just about ready, up onto the jig head, but I want to show you a couple little tricks first. This shaker head comes with a great 4.0 size, 4 or 5.0 size hook on here, depending on the size, and I'm building a 1/2 ounce here today. And this hook is reasonably sharp, but I'm going to show you a couple things just to make sure that your hooks are always sharp and that they don't rust. A hook sharpener that I always use, and one that I keep here in my studio, is a diamond file. Okay, and this has always given me the sharpest hooks. So I'm just going to make sure, put my hook up at an angle, and I'm going to rotate that around, and that way I'm going to get a really good point on there. And it's razor sharp, but I'm going to show you a little trick here. I also take a marker, like a Sharpie marker here, and because of the chemical in the Sharpie, once I color over that point, now my hook is not going to rust. I've done that trick for years. I really don't even remember where I learned that from, but it's always worked. After you sharpen a hook, take a Sharpie and color over the area that you sharpened, and that will always keep your hooks from rusting. Now, another little trick I'm going to show you is now we have to slide the skirt up on to the collar here of the jig head. And this is a Lure Parts Online signature series skirt right here. This one is actually in Roadkill. That's the name and the color. Now, obviously down here you'll see I'll put the part number on there. This is a great skirt. This is one of the best, if not the best, bluegill imitating skirts that I have found to date. It actually is almost like a hole-in-one skirt. It has a rubber insert in here, so once you slide it up, it's going to stay on there. You're not going to have strands coming off. If you hit the bait on the water, you're not going to have the skirt sliding down. Once it's up on there, that's where it's staying until you decide to cut it off. But I'm going to show you an easy way to get this up on here and to scent your lure. Now, Lure Parts makes a lot of great scents out there that you can scent all your plastics. This is actually a little flavor stick. It comes in a little size container. It looks just like a chapstick. Trust me, you don't want to mix these two up. This garlic scent is really strong. Now, on a dry lure, it'll stay up to about 45 casts, and I always have one of these in my tackle box just if I want to put it on some plastics for whatever reason. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use it so the skirt slides up onto the jig head easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm just going to put it on the outside of that skirt. Now it's going to do two things here. One, it's going to help me to get the skirt on easier, as you'll see. And the other thing is now I have a scented lure. Watch how easy this goes up. Over one, over two, and you're done. And that's it. This is a color that I like in the spring. In spring, two colors are always really good for me. Three colors: red, orange, and gold. So this has a little bit of red in it, has a little bit of orange in it, and a gold blade. So that's one of the first bladed jigs that I'm going to reach for in the spring because it looks like what's going on. You have molting crayfish that time of year. You have bluegills in the water. All that's going on, and this is going to represent a little bit of each. Now I have an extremely sharp hook that won't rust. I have the colors that I need. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what this lure looks like underwater. That's pretty cool to see and hear what that lure is going to be like underwater. And if you like what you're seeing on this channel, please make sure you subscribe, because I'm always going to get really in depth about how to make lures or how to make rods, and I'm always going to tell you why I do it. That doesn't mean that that's something you should do just because I say it. All I'm telling you is from my experience, these have worked for me, and hopefully they're going to work for you. Now I'm going to get a little more in depth on the bladed jig because I like to get into everything and tell you why I'm doing things. So there's two sizes of split rings that I use when I'm building a bladed jig. I use a size 3 and I use a size 4. Now the size 3 split ring will help make, it's a smaller split ring, will help make your bait more erratic. It will hunt more. In combination, you can use a flat blade with that. If you notice, this is a flat blade compared to the one we built today has a bent blade. What does a flat blade do? The flat blade helps your bladed jig to be more erratic or to hunt more. So as the water temperature warms up, I may go to a flat blade with a size 3 split ring to make my bait more erratic, to make it be more on the hunt. Again, I'm building it myself. So are you. You can do whatever you want. A size 4 split ring will keep the bait more in line. Your traditional quote-unquote chatterbait type of retrieve will be achieved easier with a size 4 split ring and with a bent blade. Now, the other thing you need to keep in consideration is the trailers you use. Remember, the longer the trailer, the more in line your lure will stay. The shorter the trailer, the more erratic, or the more it'll hunt. So if I want a really erratic bait that maybe nobody else is throwing, I'm going to go with a flat blade, a size 3 split ring, and I'm going to go with a shorter tail, or a shorter trailer. If I want a more traditional style bait, then I'm going to go with a bent blade, a size 4 split ring, and a longer trailer, okay? Try those yourself. I've looked at all these underwater. I've listened to the sound. I've used different materials. One of the best way to learn more about the lures you have is to go out and experiment with them. Let me ask you a question. How many of you know exactly what your lures are doing on every single cast? I bet if I had a crowd of people here in front of me, that there barely would be a hand raised. The guy who does raise his hand probably catches more fish on average than the other people in that crowd. If you don't know what your lures are doing on every single cast, you're not really fishing, you're hoping for a bite. Stop doing that. Once you realize what your lures can do and what they're capable of, you will fish them more thoroughly. That's how we're going to do every build, whether it be lures or rods here on this channel. I hope you like what you saw today. I hope you subscribe. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below. Until next time, I look forward to hearing from you. God bless you. We'll see you soon.